Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Source 16 News at 10. Thanks for joining us. Topping our news is our Hopkinsville firefighters responded to a structure fire this evening. Firefighters were dispatched to 301 South Woolridge Road, where Hopkinsville Fire Department Lieutenant Troy Beach told Source 16 the blaze was ignited by a cooker.
A smoker on the back deck, smoking. The bottom fell through on it, caught the deck on fire.
Okay.
After it caught the deck on fire, run up into the soffit on the side and went up into the attic of the garage. Okay. All the fire is mainly in the back on the porch, but it just run up in the eaves, and it just had a lot of heat and smoke damage up there. Okay. We've cleared out and made sure there's not anything else up there, but that's the main cause.
According to Lieutenant Beach, the fire was contained to the garage. Fire officials say there were no reports of injuries. In other news, Murray State University is one of the best colleges in the nation to work for, according to a new survey by the Chronicle of Higher Education. The survey results were released yesterday in the Chronicle's 4th annual report on the academic workplace and are based on a survey of nearly 44,000 employees at 310 colleges and universities. Officials say this is the second time Murray State has participated in the survey and marks MSU's appearance as one of only 111 institutions to achieve Great Colleges to Work For recognition for specific best practices and policies. MSU President Randy Dunn says, quote, "We're obviously very pleased with this distinction and proud of our excellent faculty and staff who ultimately make our campus a creative and productive place to work." Officials say the Chronicle is considered one of the nation's most significant sources of news about colleges and universities. The Christian County Reapportionment Committee told Christian County Fiscal Court today that magisterial district lines needed to be changed. Christian County Clerk Mike Kim explains what the committee suggested.
The districts need to be as close in population as possible. And due to Supreme Court decisions, that is within plus or minus 5% of the mean.
According to Kim, Fiscal Court must approve or make changes to the recommendation within 90 days, approve the final changes, and then send the document to Frankfurt.
And so we were able to do that. District 1 had lost quite a bit of population inner city, and they were either not there or they weren't counted, but the population wasn't there according to the census, and so we had to get it from a district that was contiguous, connected to District 1, and the only one that had a lot of excess population was District 7. So we took population from District 7, gave it to District 1, all the Hillcrest District precinct, Hillcrest Baptist, the entire precinct went over to District 1. And then District 6 had too many in it, so we took some and gave it back to 7.
In other business, Fiscal Court approved a resolution on a 5-3 vote to allow Christian County constables to use blue lights on their personal vehicles.
One, the constable, if they wish to use a blue light, they must make a written request. They must identify by make, model, and serial number the vehicle they're going to use and perform their duties as constable. They must give a written verification that they have at least $500,000 of liability insurance coverage on that vehicle, and that insurance will cover that vehicle while performing their duties as a constable. Another interesting part of the resolution was the fact that, in addition to what I've already said, there was a provision that constable could not utilize that vehicle while performing their duties and ever exceed more than 10 miles over the posted speed limit.
Magistrates Rudolph Pettis, Edwin Long, and David Collins voted no to the resolution, which does not require a second reading to become law. Meanwhile, Fiscal Court renewed a lease agreement with the Pennyroyal Narcotics Task Force to remain at 511 South Main Street and pay $1,400 a month compared to $1,600. Magistrates then scheduled the next Fiscal Court meeting for the morning of August 9th. A top-ranking leader from Canada traveled to Fort Campbell recently to express his gratitude to the 101st Airborne Division. Canadian Lieutenant General Peter Devlin presented soldiers assigned to the 5th Battalion, 101st Combat Aviation Brigade with the Canadian Army Commendation Award for their support during Operation Enduring Freedom. The local troops were deployed to Kandahar, Afghanistan in early 2008 to support the International Security and Assistance Force of Regional Command South. A Todd County Circuit Court judge has delayed making a ruling regarding a change of venue motion filed by the defense attorney of Garrett Dye. Court officials say the judge will reconsider the change of venue during Dye's trial in November. In addition, court officials say the judge did not rule on the suppression of evidence motion, but attorneys will be back in court on Friday for that discussion. 17-year-old Garrett Dye is charged with the February 4th murder of his biological cousin and adopted sister, 9-year-old Amy Dye, after he allegedly beat her in the head with a hydraulic jack handle at their home on Dogwood Lane near Trenton. Oak Grove police are investigating an armed robbery at a convenience store Sunday night. A news release says around 9:15 Sunday night, a male subject entered the Eagle Market on Fort Campbell Boulevard, displayed a black handgun, and demanded money from the clerk. Police say the cashier handed over the money from the cash drawer and the suspect fled the store heading northbound in front of the building. The robber was wearing a military-issued balaclava or mask, dark long-sleeve shirt, and blue jeans. He stands about 6'3" and has a slender build. Police say the cashier could not tell the race of the armed robber. Anyone with information pertaining to this case is asked to call the Oak Grove Crime Stoppers at 877-490-8477. A Marshall County man has been arrested after he was indicted by the grand jury in connection to an arson. Benton Police Chief Tracy Watwood reported today that an officer was dispatched to a garage fire in the 600 block of Poplar Street on May 10th and began an arson investigation due to circumstances found at the scene. The officer presented his case to the grand jury and they returned an indictment for Randall Reed of Benton for the charges of second-degree arson and first-degree wanton endangerment. Chief Watwood reported today that Reed was arrested last week on that warrant. Well, a parking problem at an underage party landed two Hopkinsville men in jail facing charges from drug possession to assaulting a police officer. Hopkinsville police officers were called to a party on Jeanette Circle, where they were met by several individuals under 21 who were visibly intoxicated. After about 10 minutes of trying to get someone to come to the door, police say 20-year-old Adam Moss came to the door intoxicated and was instructed by police that the vehicles in the road needed to be moved. However, police say Moss became extremely uncooperative and told police that officers were not allowed inside the home without a search warrant. Moss then tried to run back into the residence and shut the door, but was stopped by officers and placed under arrest. While clearing the home, police found 18-year-old Ralph Cole III sleeping on his bed with a bag of marijuana between his legs. When officers tried to wake him up and told him to exit the home, he refused and fought with police for nearly 5 minutes before he was handcuffed. During a search of the home, officers found and seized marijuana, a bong, taser, and other drug paraphernalia. Moss was charged with possession of marijuana, resisting arrest, and first-degree criminal mischief, while Cole was charged with 4 counts of third-degree assault of a police officer. Well, a Dawson Springs woman was injured in a single vehicle wreck yesterday afternoon. According to the Kentucky State Police, 39-year-old Carla DiTalente was driving west on US 62, the Nortonville Road, around 3:30 when about 3 miles east of Dawson Springs, her vehicle ran off the road, struck a utility pole, and rolled onto its passenger side before hitting a house in the 10,000 block of Nortonville Road. Police say the vehicle came to rest on its passenger side against the home. The 39-year-old Dawson Springs resident who was wearing a seatbelt was transported by ambulance to Regional Medical Center in Madisonville for treatment of injuries. More Kentucky Division of Forestry firefighters are again responding to a wildfire emergency in the South. After returning from fighting wildfires in Florida and Georgia, 11 firefighters comprising an engine strike team are now in North Carolina. KDF Director and Kentucky State Forester Leah McSwart said the assignment was requested late last week by the North Carolina Forest Service through the Southeastern Interstate Forest Fire Protection Compact. The Kentucky firefighters have been assigned to the Juniper Road fire that started on June 19th and has burned over 30,000 acres. Although the fire is 85% contained in the absence of rainfall, officials report the fire continues to smolder, flare, and torch trees along the perimeters. Kentucky crews will be monitoring for new ignitions across containment lines and assisting with mop-up and patrol of all containment lines. Well, motorists traveling in Graves County need to be aware of a road closure in Mayfield. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, in cooperation with Paducah and Louisville Railroad, this morning closed the Kentucky 121 bypass at Mayfield to allow repair of the railroad crossing. Kentucky 121 is closed around the 11-mile marker between Kentucky 58 and US 45. Motorists who regularly travel this section of the Kentucky 121 bypass at Mayfield should make advance alternate travel plans through Friday at noon, when the repair is expected to be completed. A Christian County middle school teacher is preparing for the upcoming school year in an unconventional way. During the summer break, Dana Thweet has been picking vegetables and pulling weeds in the school's community garden to prepare for the upcoming school year.
I think it's important that, the kids put so much work and effort into starting out the garden and, getting it going. And I want them to know when they come back, when school starts, when they look out here, they see that their efforts weren't negated, that somebody actually cared what they did and maintained it for them. Because when they come back, I'm going to have them right back out here just like we did before, and that'll give me a break. But, I don't want them to come in and see weeds grown up and see their vegetables dead, because nobody cared. And so I want them to know that somebody actually cared about it.
Thanks to a $5,000 grant, Threet and her students created a community garden filled with edible produce like tomatoes, green beans, and cabbage. According to Threet, the community garden serves as a teaching tool for her students and a way to feed local senior citizens.
I think it's just so much more important for them if they can physically get their hands upon it, manipulate it, put it in real world applications. They're going to maintain that so much more than just reading in a book, memorizing it for a test, because then the next week they'll have, no clue what you're talking about. Oh, remember we talked about such and such. No, and you get that deer caught in the headlights look where they don't have a clue what you're talking about.
The garden is also home to several turtles that will be carefully monitored by her students during the next school year as a class project.